Hey, happy Tuesday. Hat hair don't care. It's that time of year, right? Happy Tuesday. It's the time of year where if you're in the northern hemisphere anyways, it's hat hair season. How are you today? How is your Tuesday? How are you feeling going into this holiday season? I am very aware that not all of us are skipping and jumping and jingling all of our bells all the way to Christmas. um, in fact, this year I set up my tree, did not put ornaments on it, cats. But I set up my tree with the intention of it being a Yule tree. For those of you that don't know, Yule is celebrated. It's the original Christmas, okay? Yule is the original Christmas. It is celebrated on the solstice to celebrate the return of light, the return of the lengthening of the days. And boy, oh boy, can I celebrate that? Winter is my least favorite of the seasons. I'm learning to love it as I get older. For what it stands for, right? For the opportunity of death and rebirth. I think we talked about that in a different video. So I'm leaning in to this season and also leaving my tree on all the time because lights, especially like getting dark at 5 is dumb. Whoever's idea that was, idiot. Anyway, what does connection mean to you? Why did you start riding horses? What pulled you in? What got you stuck in this lifestyle of cold days, nights, 24/7 availability, necessity? The necessity, no, necessity, like that makes me think of shoot. Now I'm like totally off on a tangent. Narcissa Malfoy. No, the necessity of being available basically 24/7 for our animals. If they live at home with you, even more so than if you board them. But what pulled you in? What's got you here? What's holding you? What's holding you hostage in this lifestyle where we're just pulled to, drawn to, and attached to these giant animals that have a tendency to try and murder themselves. Luckily, I haven't experienced too much of that. I had one horse as a kid that we literally were like, this one is just, she's suicidal. And now I know, right? Like now looking back, I'm like, oh, she had a lot of stuff going on. So that's why she behaved the way she did. So it makes a lot of sense now. I can look back at that and see it. But what is it for you? What pulled you in? Because, like, I don't honestly have a really visceral memory of what it was. So I have told the story a couple times before where I have this memory of being 3 years old-ish. Is my earliest memory. My earliest memory. So I could have been a little bit younger. I had a Cabbage Patch doll. Yeah, 80s baby. Hi. I had a Cabbage Patch doll. His name was Victor. He was a black baby. Like, that's what I insisted on. And my grandmother was awesome, and she went and got me one. And I still have him, by the way. Victor's very, very important. Actually, he's technically staying at Grammy's house. He's staying at Grammy's house, but he's still kicking. And his color is important because of this memory. It's so interesting. So I have this memory of being that young and walking down the hall at our house at the time. And again, 80s child. The walls were like that popcorn white, okay? Like they had texture. How fun. And so I was walking down the hallway towards our kitchen where my parents were arguing. Okay? And Victor's head, because I was a good baby mama, Victor's head is bouncing off the wall. Okay? And this is why his color is important, because there's something, like, I know that this is a real memory, that I'm not just making this up, because Victor has white streaks on his black baby head from me doing that, from walking him down the hall, letting his head bounce off the popcorn. Anyway, I got to the end of the hall. My parents, like I said, my parents were fighting in the kitchen. I say fighting. I don't remember. It's three. Like, I don't remember. There were loud voices. The tone was indication of fighting. That's what I remember. Then, like, and here's the thing. Like, I remember this not from being in my own body. I remember this as if I was watching from the far corner of our living room. So, like, that hallway came in, and the kitchen went this way, and the living room went this way. So I remember watching it from up here, like at the top of that room, like by the ceiling, looking down, and not really connecting to, not feeling in my body. Like, the memory feels very disconnected. It feels very, like, I remember having the thought, watching this, being like, I should feel differently. This doesn't feel like a movie. Which is so weird, because the memory's from when I'm like 3, okay? So, fast forward to, I don't know, couple years, I don't know how long ago. When my sister first started learning quantum healing hypnosis, I did a session with her, past life regression session. And you can do a past life regression. It's like your subconscious mind chooses to show you this life that you lived for a specific reason, so that you can understand something about what you're going through in this time, currently, right now, in your current reality. And there's something there for you to learn. So you go through that, and then after you get through that, your the practitioner can ask your subconscious some questions for you, because remember, our subconscious mind is like the computer hard drive of our being. So it records everything from birth to death and beyond. Okay? We can put our brain into certain wavelength states, example theta, that allows us to kind of sift through what's in our subconscious that we're not accessing on a daily basis with our conscious mind. So my sister asked some questions that I had posed, like, why am I so horse obsessed? What is it? Because I've also struggled with, like, when I chose to stop pursuing the Olympic path, which was like right after high school, I had the option. I had 2 different options, one in Kentucky and one in Florida, to go pursue apprenticeship, to be put in the position where I would be on Olympic track. And I decided right after high school that I did not want to do that after all. And since then, I, like, in my entrepreneurial realm, when I work with people and, you know, I work with coaches that help people develop their businesses and find their niche and all this, I have always felt like what I do is not enough. I've always felt like helping horses is not enough, because they're not people, and everybody else out there is talking to people, and I'm over here like, but the horses! Which coincidentally, like, you know, I've obviously grown quite a bit, and I'm like, right, but the horses have people too. And I have learned, like, I have impacted people through impacting horses. So I've got to get past that a little bit. But there is always this thing that I should be helping people instead of horses. And so I asked the question, like, why horses? And it was so interesting, because my subconscious mind immediately was like, she already knows the answer to this. She has the memory. It is her earliest memory. She knows why. And I was like, I don't understand. Like, consciously, like, I don't get it. But, you know, my subconscious goes on to explain, and I have, like, a recording, right? It's a very interesting process. If you're sketchy about it, like, go try it. It's very interesting. Because your voice sounds a little bit different when you're not. It's just very interesting. Anyway, so my subconscious goes on to explain that I, as a soul, while I agreed to come into this life to face the challenges that I am here to face, My soul was also like, hey, so we got here and I forgot like how intense this is, and this is going to be hard, and I'm just not sure that I'm really as committed as I thought I would be. Which after experiencing what I've experienced in this life, like let's just say that was on track. So at this point, my subconscious mind just explains like horses have a very grounding energy. You were struggling to ground into this life. Obviously, this was an anticipated thing because I chose a mother who was involved with horses. And when I was really young, I had no desire, none. I didn't want any part of it. But by the time I remember having this memory from it's like when I was 3 years old. By the time I turned 5, I was begging for a horse. So there was this setup where it was like you're going to be able to have interactions with these beings that are going to help you ground into this life. And I think that we can all relate to that, where we choose to be around horses because of the way they make us feel, which is why we choose all of the things we do, everything. So when life seems really hard, recognize that there's probably an easier way to go about it, but you are choosing it to be hard because you want to feel a feeling. And I know these are really hard things to like get on board with, because why would we choose to make things more difficult? Well, because we want to feel a feeling, and that's what life is really about, is feeling feelings. So I chose horses so that I would be more grounded, so that I could feel that grounding energy, but also connection. And, I didn't realize how important connection was to me. It's that whole hindsight is 2020 thing. And I look back through school, and so many people are like, you go to school, yes, for an education, but also to learn to be social. For me, I didn't get my social interactions from school because I was so horse obsessed, people didn't understand it. Okay, like some of my best friends in school, it was like junior high, were like, why, I found out that they were talking about me behind my back, which was all like, why she always gotta talk about horses? Why she always gotta wear a horse t-shirt? Why can't she do anything that doesn't have to do with horses? Not my best friends, okay? But my point is that I went through most of my educational period not connecting with my peers, but instead connecting with my horses and connecting with anybody else that was deeply connected to horses, right? And that's where that connection came from. When I got to the end of high school and came into adulthood, I had my husband. I met my husband and created deep connection with him. And eventually, like, it didn't take long. And then I got like back into horses a little bit. It didn't take much of a break there. But I'm realizing more through my life that yes, I have important relationships with people and connections with people. But horses have really helped me to create and maintain connection. And I think that with horses, and when we're creating that connection and creating it on a deep level, I'm not talking about like my client horses. I love them. I love them. I love them all. And I create a connection with all of them. But it is not the same connection that I create with my own horses. And it's not like even my own horses. I have a connection with Lightning. I have a connection with Cash. It is not the same as the connection that I have with Bruce. And I don't just mean because he's Bruce. I mean because I have dedicated more time and effort into understanding him, into being understood by him, and bridging that gap of communication with him. So this is just like in a relationship, in a marriage, in a best friend scenario. We have dedicated more time to understanding and being understood, right? And we get to create that bond, and we get to dedicate ourselves to that bond. So when I ask, like, what is connection to you and what drew you to horses, can you find the place where those two, the answers to those two questions connect? Can you find that for yourself? What does that look like? Because I know that a big part for me is this story that everybody always gets a kick out of it when I tell it. Is it real? Yes. And also, it's from the depths of my imagination, from the deepest part of my soul, that a part of me is off living somewhere. Because we're all energetic beings and we can be in more than one place at once in energetic sense, right? And so part of me lives in this beautiful place. A part of me lives in this place where there's just rolling green grass. There's a castle on the hill, very open castle, by the way. There's no moat, there's no walls up around it. And the middle, like the center of this castle, is actually an open air space with lots of soft cushions to sit on. And you can see out over the realm through this castle. So you can be standing on one side looking out over this side, and over here is a forest. It's off a little ways, very green, very beautiful, very happy light energy. It's not the dark forbidden forest, okay? And when we look out over this side, there's nice rolling hills. There's a cliff, and you can see off in the distance a river and waterfalls, and there's this tree. There's this tree. It's a beautiful tree. It has like its branches are up high. It's like the classic little kid drawn tree, only better because it's not artistically drawn by me, the little kid. But the branches are up high, and it has like golden green leaves on it. And again, it's surrounded by flowing green grasses, and it's not far from the edge of the cliff. And it's just a beautiful place. A beautiful place where part of me is living, where horses and unicorns just come up to me. Like, I wake up in the morning, and then, like, I wake up in that, like, nice little open air space, okay, because it's warm there. It's always warm there. There's no snow. And the horse just comes up into the center of the castle, kind of nuzzles me awake, and I'm like, oh, good morning, right? And I have my cute little ballet slippers on, my little princess dress, and I just leap up onto his back, and he takes me out, gallops me out under the tree. We stop, and we have a nice little picnic there. And all the other little animals, the birds are tweeting, and they come down and they join us, and rabbits and foxes and the whole nine. And we all just have this beautiful little connected picnic with cookies and all the good things, right? And the other way that I tell this story is usually not quite so personal, where it's like this little girl dream, because I think we can all attached to this little girl dream. If at some point we just had this desire, right? There's like the cottage in the woods, which is totally in the woods on the other side of my castle realm. Okay, there's this little cottage, and you wake up in your bed in the morning, and the horse is got its head sticking in your window, and it's just like, hey, I'm here, let's go for a ride. And you have your little ballet slippers and your little princess nightgown, and you just run outside, and you hump on its back, and it runs you off to your picnic by the stream, and you just eat there with all the animals, and it's just so cute and romantic. And it's because the horse chose to connect with you. The horse chooses to spend every waking moment with you, and it wants to spend that time, and you want to spend that time. It is such a magical, I don't even want to call it Disney. It's better than Disney. It's so amazingly magical. And it's also 100% completely possible in this life. Maybe not to have your horse come up to your window or come into your house and wake you up in the morning, because we just aren't set up that way. And yes, fucking winter exists here. But it is possible to have that type of connection. It is possible to have the type of connection where your horse just wants to be with you all the time, where you don't need lead lines and halters to keep their attention. You don't need bridles and bits. You don't need saddles. Okay, maybe you need a saddle if your horse is like Cash and he's like a barrel. Okay, because even just him turning a little bit, you just meh. But it's not for communication. It's not for connection. The aids are not necessary to deepen your connection, because you've created that deep connection before you've gotten to the point of all of those other things. And that is so deeply possible. And that, my friends, is where Equine Alchemy comes in. It is step one. It is the base. It is creating that connection between you and your horse. That connection that allows you to know what your horse needs. It allows you to be seen and heard by your horse, but also your horse to be seen, heard, and understood by you. Because I can tell you that 99.9% of behavioral issues, actually, fuck that. 100% of behavioral issues are pain related or misunderstanding. And if it's pain related, there is a misunderstanding when you are dealing with that horse and they are coming back at you with behavioral problems. So they all come down to misunderstanding. What if we just cleared up the misunderstanding? What if we just got you to the point where you could understand what they're trying to tell you? Because they're always trying to tell you. And I'm not saying this to you because I get it right 100% of the time. I'm saying this to you because it's so much easier to admit when you're wrong and to admit and to know that, you know, oh shit, I just missed it. I'm so sorry, and fix the problem so much faster. When you already have this ability, this skill set honed, it is already so much faster to just say, oh, that was my bad. I'm so sorry. I'm misunderstanding, right? Because we're human. We're not perfect. But if we give ourselves the opportunity to hone the skill, to learn how to communicate better, how to be understood and understand, then everybody wins. Which brings me back to helping people through their horses. You guys, I can tell you that this equine alchemy journey is something that I have gone through, that is something that I have worked through, that I didn't do for my horses. It was just so fucking magical to turn around and realize how it applied. And so now I'm here to guide you through the process with your horse so we can do it more fun and in a way that we all love, which is with our horses, connected to our horses. It's the way that I think if you're in this group, that you would truly want it to be, because it's always all about the horse for us horse girls, right? So if you have not gotten your ticket yet, we start Equine Alchemy a week from today. You're going to want to grab that. The opening ceremony is on the 17th, and I'm going to be posting the time for that later today. And if you join in now, you get an early bird pricing, and also you get to start the scavenger hunt. So if you are in Equine Alchemy already, if you've already got your ticket, how's your scavenger hunt going? You still have time to get it on that. You're going to want to complete the scavenger hunt so that you can be entered to win freebie stuff, lots of good stuff that I have coming for you guys. Fun stuff. But anyways, I'm going to get out of here. I'm past my 20 minutes. Become the person that your horse needs you to be, guys. Open yourself up to that connection. Allow it to be easy. And do some fun pony shit. Talk to you later. Maybe.